So I'm working on a new character. It's a playoff of my 1999 character. I'm not gonna debate whether Eminem over there took it. I'm pretty sure because I was doing that in Connecticut '99, the Rage Against the Machine show. Afterwards, me and this kid Jimmy. We were waiting for a bus to take us to a train station. But this is a can half and laugh, or should it? I'm still working on it. It's like I was thinking about. It's like can if. He can actually, get his right together if, like, a lot of other stuff. And the irony was that, he probably shouldn't be at that show. He shouldn't be too nice to people, and he should just, let people go and just do his own thing. Maybe he could have money, he could have his own life, this and that. And Kehn, how it started, he was just, he was making fun of the homosexuality and, like, pedophilia and just like weirdness. Oh, it was I was just imitating somebody, just showing them, how they really were, because they made me feel uncomfortable to high degree, so I was just being stupid and ridiculous, But can if can half and has can half and has. I think I'm gonna change it to that because can half and laugh because he's a serious person. Can half and house. That would be a hose. Ooh, I don't go there, but usually it goes like this, I believe. I'm gonna leave it as that. Can have and how has. Can have and has. So the premise is I wrote it down here as I'm developing this character. Premise is for the character to be rhyming without being serious about it and telling others that he isn't aware of the rhymes he creates as he talks. It's a play on Ken Kenneth from 99. This time, Ken, with an a heterosexual and somewhat angry man has had enough with getting bullied by futile people, including the police department and the U.S. healthcare system. And basically he just rhymes. Like I just started jotting this down. You see, the matter is I don't seem to matter as if I don't exist. And the twist of all this is that you take all of me as if I have to be treated like this. The arrogance of you and all that you seem to do has got me bent out of shape, and there are plenty of you that incriminate me and take my freedom as if I am you. This isn't a case of mistaken identity or misplaced identity. Just all of yous acting obsessively shady. I mean, come on there, Jim Brady. It ain't all about this. It ain't all about me, is it, lately? I know that you know that I know that you know that you still try to steal from me lately. But lately, I don't just type like this in chat boxes so you can forgave me and twist my truth or further infuriate me. I hate record and upload for one reason or another you still resort and suppress my truth being indefinitely my word. See, it's not up to the people to decide whether I am this or I am that. Majority of people I have met don't seem to know how to think accurately a lot, or rather often. Let me not soften the wording as most of you often do, cheapen the language and create different slang terms to communicate a thing or two. And then somebody says, "Oh, that's a good rhyme." Hey, listen, go fuck yourself. I didn't rhyme. That's a crime for you to be thinking like that. Did I ask you for that? I mean, what's up with that? Seriously, guys. What's up with your little rap music and where's the gat, where's the gat? I don't talk like that. I hate rap. You know that? It's just when I just, say it like that, it just doesn't, it's not as complicated, it's not, it's not as fluent, it's not as, intelligent as far as this. This is more thorough. Like, this could actually, I mean, it could be a song, could be not, but, I like that, fast worded poetry. I mean, I'm a settle score for once. Uh, I shouldn't probably include this, but poetry derived from no, Def Poetry Jam. I mean, that was on the central stage. That was probably the most. All right, come on, Ben. Uh, Def Poetry, spoken word poetry. I like that spoken word poetry. Performance aesthetic qualities. He doesn't give the exact date, but I'm pretty sure it's that either 83 or 86. I always confuse those two. And there, see, that was just, that was, Russell Simmons, I believe. He took that to the level with the deaf poetry, and that was pretty cool, and it was actually, I used to watch that. I think it was on HBO. It was kind of awesome. But yeah, I'm talking about, 'cause I don't think you call that deaf poetry. Like spoken word poetry. Uh, where's the history? It was started in, I believe, Illinois. Either Illinois or Michigan. I think it was Illinois. I think it was Chicago that it started. It was like and it was taken derived from hip hop. But the premise I read on Wikipedia, they were saying that real poetry got boring, and hip hop was going around. It was like the mid '80s, so whoever these guys were, whoever that guy was, he knows that. He's like, well, why don't I take something from hip hop, the power of hip hop, rap music, and put that just to poetry, but at the same time just fast, have a fast pace and have some rhythm and just some attitude. The tip of poetry is like innocent bird. I mean, I don't want to be Shakespearean about it. Even that is fine too. I write like that, but when you accentuate it and you just you give it that much depth and strength, and you bend words, but without music and without the entertainment part of it, you could have a lot of feeling from it. You could get your message across, and it's, I mean, that's just that's how, like, poetry maybe should be, in my opinion. If you look at everything else, it derives from poetry. Lyrics start from poetry, whether you like to admit it or not. When you sit down and write, you see people say a lyricist. Maybe they won't label a poet, but it is related to one another. It's ingrained in its roots. I mean, I'm pretty sure there wasn't any music first. People were writing first, or maybe they were just singing along. Poetry and music go well together, as far as lyrics go. But enough about that, because I already talked about that. Poetry slam. Poetry slam is a competitive art event in which poets perform spoken word poetry. That's how it gets. All right. See, slam poetry. That's how you see the. That's how I remember hearing it. I actually like that. Nope. Jeffrey McDaniels slam poetry. All right. Let me see. Poetry slams began in Chicago in 1984. I was kind of close. There was this guy's name. I know he was a white male, but American poet Mark Smith is credited with starting the poetry slam at the Get Me High Lounge in Chicago in November 1984. All right, Mark Smith, 1984. In July 1986, the original slam moved to its permanent home, the Green Mill Jazz Club. I could see how it could be, related to jazz as well. It's very like hipster, but also fast paced. So it is pretty cool. One of my favorite movies was Basketball Diaries, but it was very much more with Jimmy Carroll. He was a poet, and it was like, wow, man, imagine going to a place like that and just, but they get into it. It's nothing lame. Just actually, have a lot of emotion, feeling, and also about context. Something powerful. I mean, it could be anything. It could be, jokes and this and that. You could take it to a different level. It's like that movie with Robin Williams. I can't remember used to say Robin Williams movie, but he was the biggest star because they were all young. Here, let me see. Dead Poet Society. I'm just terrible with titles, people's names, especially like people that I don't know personally. But Dead Poet Society, 1989. Yeah, I mean that was after. I don't know if that. I mean, if they were inspired by it. I have no idea. I like to read about it, but I mean, Robert Sean Leonard, Ethan Hawke, Robin Williams. I mean, these guys. Ethan Hawke. People know Ethan Hawke, from movies, but Robert Sean Leonard. I think he was the guy that if you watch the movie that took his own life, the character, and it was kind of like, wow, would you really do that? But at the same time, it's like, I'm not saying I can understand it, but when you're being oppressed and controlled, and you can't be yourself, it's like, I could empathize with the character and say, he just felt hurt that his dad was like that. At least that's how I see it right now. But it's like I wouldn't take my life. I'd just be like, fuck it, I'm leaving. I'm just moving out. I'm graduating high school. What are you gonna do to me? It's like, well, what? I don't want to be a fucking lawyer. Go fuck yourself. I wanna act. I wanna do theater, or I wanna write, or this and that. You're not gonna tell me what to do because it's stability, is make a lot of money, and I'll have an office like you or something. I don't want that. It's like I'm my own person, so it just rubbed me the wrong way that he would take his own life, the character, and he found something he was good at, like being an actor and stuff like that. It just felt like the kids that actually do that, you know, just kind of hurtful. But it was a great movie nonetheless, and it was very much so that it dealt with art and poetry. These guys would sneak out at night. They were in a school. It was a what would you call it, parochial school, whatever. It was just very much prep like, and it's like people had money that back then, and even in the 80s, they would send their kids there. It was like a high school. But they lived far away, and they would sneak out, and they would just go, and eventually they brought girls along, and they just would read poetry, and they would just joke around, but it was like in the woods and in a cave. So it was like for someone like me, it's like it's an adventure. I'd be like fuck it, let's just let's tag up on the wall as well. Let's write some rhymes or something like that, or like not haunt the place, but make it more creative. It was just like an adventure for them. I spent time in a place where I was detained. It's like, man, that would be fun. But even now, it's like I like to go out at night and on my bicycle, just drive a car. Just I'm not I don't snoop around, but it's like I explore. It's quiet, it's desolate. It's like it's not even haunted. Like even though it can be, it's like it's actually pretty calm. I am a nocturnal person. I thrive in there. It's very peaceful. I did for years, but they snuck out, and then they didn't want to get in trouble, this and that. So it's just it's one of those movies where actually that and the Basketball Diaries, where I was like, wow, man, like this they actually make it seem kind of cool. Jim Carroll, played by Leonardo DiCaprio, he made it even more hipper. Except he was like, I don't think Jim Carroll would have just said that. Like it was just his journal. He would say just write stuff. But even then, it was like the one thing that got me about Basketball Diaries, he was like kids play with marbles. I just want to be pure. Like he remembered or he thought about a certain innocence, and and he felt like he wanted to rush to that. Things were different when you were innocent. As far as a child, it wasn't pedophilia based, but it was just like he wanted to find purity in life. And one of the nastiest he said is that it was kind of true. Things Time flies when you're young and jerking off. I don't know if Jim Carroll said that, but he was just a grimy dude. I was like, fuck it, you live in New York. I was like, how could you not say that? Because it really does. For me, lately, time flies when you're making YouTube videos and you're editing and music. It just flies by hour, 2 hours go by like that. I mean, like that. But it was just so random. He had his own personality, and he was writing in his journal. He was writing poetry, this and that. I don't think he was too many Jim Carroll poetry. I'm not too aware of him, but as his style, it wasn't too much rhyming, but it was just like things he felt and the words he used, and it was just grimy and gritty. That's what I got from the movie, But it's like one of those movies that threw poetry in there and just say, listen, if that's what you're into, that's what you're into, If you're into ballet, you're into ballet. Who cares what people think? Do whatever you want. You don't conform to the norm of society, And circle this, except the part where they move, they go off in the ship. It's a ferry. It's like I'm gonna make a joke out of that. They're fairies. What do you expect? Like that was kind of weird, but they were teenagers, teenage angst, and they were rebelling. They were drinking, like they were doing crazy, stupid stuff. It's like you don't get pissed off by that. If I was there, I was like, hey, yeah, that's pretty disgusting. You should jump in the water and wash yourself. You're gross. Just go about my day. Fuck it, like have an interaction. Don't be older, like oh, like don't be shocked. But it just that's one of the reasons I love Basketball Diaries. Actually, pretty much the main one. That's the reason why. And then not that it has a Hollywood ending, but then he just actually became a poet. He would go to these places where I was like, wow, do they really have that in New York? like, poetry, like maybe in Chicago as well. You know, I know I Married an Ex-Murder. Michael Myers, he played this character was a poet. He would do all this stuff, but he would do poetry too. It was just like dun, dun, dun. And he was actually very hip what he was doing. So I thought it was pretty cool. It's just probably places that exist like that. But it just like I'm not gonna be the guy that conforms to your little clique or whatever, and I gotta talk about the things you talk about because I gotta get street cred. I mean, it's like I'm not into that crap. But Dead Poet Society is classic. I actually bought it on DVD just to have it. Another one is doesn't deal too much poetry. Deals with literature. It's Finding Forrester. That one is, oh man, that is so good. And when I first saw it, I was like, man, a teacher couldn't be like that. But then I was like, I had a teacher like that. He just never took it to that level. He was never too much of it. But then it's like, maybe I don't remember everything exactly. There's people like that. There's people that will do that. There's people that will write a book, like he said, just to get laid. There's people that will write an album, a record, just to get laid. And it's like, all right, you're honest, but it's like, I do it for just the art expression, let people know how I really feel inside. It's like, words are weapons. This is an arsenal. What I want to do, and a lot of times it's just, it's just to relax, to mellow, just like not. I mean, attention is great, but just to, it's fun for me. I enjoy it. It's a passion, but that's probably one of the reasons why I don't conform. And there are people that talk about certain subject matter, and they're just like that, like the stereotype. Who knows? Maybe they're real, they're honest. Because there's a lot of artists out there that just they don't talk about what they know. By the way, that's one of the rules in writing literature. You're supposed to write what you know about. At least that's what I heard that people told me when I was in high school. It's because I wanted to be a writer. But it's like you're gonna write lyrics and you're gonna perpetuate something that you don't know about, you don't live. I mean, it's just either you're gonna fail or the people gonna see you're fake and a fraud. I mean, unless you just you're a great producer, great producers, and you're entertaining. But all you really are is an entertainer.